A humanoid robot can now recover from a completely random shove and keep moving, without any pre-programmed recovery routine. Here's the thing that stopped me mid-scroll this week. Zhiyuan, the Shanghai robotics company also known as Agibot, just released something called BFM-2. It stands for their second-generation body foundation model, and the core trick it pulls off is what they call motion between. Given any two states, a still standing pose, a mid-walk frame, or a completely arbitrary joint configuration you throw at it from outside, the robot autonomously calculates a stable, smooth path between them. No hand-coded transition, no pre-scripted fallback. It figures it out on the fly. I think the cleanest way to understand this is to imagine your own body. When you trip, you don't consciously decide which muscles to fire to catch yourself. Your cerebellum handles it below the level of thought. Zhiyuan is calling BFM-2 a cerebellum for robots, a low-level motion foundation layer that sits underneath whatever high-level task the brain is trying to execute. The demos show their A3 humanoid transitioning from a full static stop into dynamic movement, absorbing unexpected pushes and closing task loops mid-motion without toppling. That last part, dynamic task closure under disturbance, is the bit I keep coming back to. Now, I want to be careful here because I've been burned before. About a year ago, I predicted Unitree's H1 would hit a ceiling on unstructured terrain within 6 months. I was wrong. Their subsequent demos pushed further than I expected. So I'm not here to crown Zhiyuan the winner of anything. But I do think BFM-2 represents a genuinely different architectural bet. Unitree's public demos, especially the H2 footage, are impressive for raw athleticism. Backflips, sprinting, stair climbing. Spectacular stuff. But those demos are largely showcasing what the robot can do when the motion is known in advance and rehearsed. The question BFM-2 is trying to answer is different. What happens when the input state is unknown at runtime? What happens when the world doesn't cooperate with your pre-planned sequence? I'd argue this is actually the harder problem for commercial deployment. Think about it like driver assistance systems in cars. Tesla's early autopilot was jaw-dropping on clean highway footage, but the real engineering test was always the edge case, the unexpected obstacle, the faded lane marking. The same logic applies here. A robot on a factory floor or in a care home doesn't get to choose its starting conditions. BFM-2's two-stage training pipeline. And I'll be honest, Zhiyuan hasn't published a full technical paper yet, so I'm working from their demo materials. Seems designed specifically to handle that messiness. Stage 1 builds a broad motion prior. Stage 2 specializes it for stable real-world closure. Whether it generalizes beyond their own hardware, I genuinely don't know yet. Here is a detail from this week that I think is being underreported. Spain's second Deputy Prime Minister, Yolanda Diaz, visited Zhiyuan's facility in Shanghai. And from the footage, this wasn't a diplomatic photo op where someone shakes hands with a robot from 3 feet away. She was hands-on with the hardware. Her team was asking real questions. I think this matters for a reason that goes beyond optics. Europe right now is in an awkward position on robotics. Boston Dynamics is American. Figure AI is American. The serious humanoid momentum, in terms of volume, iteration speed, and cost curve, is increasingly Chinese. A senior European labor minister visiting a Chinese embodied AI company is, whether intentional or not, a signal that the conversation about where these robots get built, licensed, and deployed is already happening at the government level. For context, Zhiyuan's A3 robot is not a concept. They have been running it in real environments. The company has backing from some of China's largest automotive and tech investors, which is part of why I cover them on this channel, even though they're not building cars. The supply chain, the battery expertise, the manufacturing scale, it all overlaps. The same industrial ecosystem that makes BYD competitive on price is what lets a company like Zhiyuan iterate on humanoid hardware faster than most Western labs can write a grant proposal. I'd argue the BFM-2 announcement and the Spain visit in the same week is not a coincidence. Zhiyuan is clearly pushing for international visibility right now, and BFM-2 is the technical credibility they want attached to that push. So where does this leave us? I think BFM-2 is a real technical step, not marketing. The specific claim, stable interpolation from any arbitrary input state, including random external disturbance, closed in a dynamic loop, is falsifiable. Either the robot stays upright across novel conditions in the real world, or it doesn't. The demos look convincing. The architecture makes sense conceptually. That's more than I can say for a lot of foundation model announcements I've seen this year. What I genuinely cannot tell you yet is how BFM-2 performs outside Zhiyuan's own controlled environments, on third-party hardware, or under the kind of sustained stress a real deployment would involve. That's the test that separates a great demo from a great product. I also want to see how Unitree responds, because if there's one thing their team has proven, it's that they don't sit still. My prediction: we'll see a Unitree counter demo within 8 weeks that specifically targets the unstructured input scenario. I could be wrong again. I've been wrong about their timeline before. But here is my bottom line. The race to build the cerebellum layer for humanoid robots is now clearly a multi-horse race, and Zhiyuan just moved to the front of my watch list. If you think I'm overrating this, or if you've seen technical details I've missed, I genuinely want to know. Drop it in the comments below. And if you want to follow how this develops alongside the EV story, subscribe. These two industries are converging faster than most people realize. If you think I'm overrating BFM-2, or if Unitree's response drops before I cover it, tell me in the comments. And subscribe if you want to track where Chinese robotics and EVs are heading together.